Hello, friend. Joy. You have no doubt either heard this word or used it recently. What is it, and do you and I, do we have it? What are the conditions for experiencing it for ourselves? There's a book I came across recently called The Gravity of Joy by a lady named Angela Gorel. I know it's an interesting title, The Gravity of Joy. It makes you want to at least open the book and see what's inside. The author was hired by a large university in the United States to study, of all things, joy as if it could be studied. Not long after hired, a string of tragedies struck her life. A close family member passed away in terrible circumstances. Her father died less than a month later. And then her 22-year-old nephew died suddenly of a heart attack. The write-up says that at this point, the joy that she was researching felt distant and shallow. Why? Because it was just a theory. After all, it was something she only was studying. But it was when Angela, the author, began to volunteer at a maximum security prison for women that she began to understand some of the dimensions of joy. And this is what the write-up said. Joy doesn't obliterate grief. It doesn't put it aside. Instead, joy has a mysterious capacity to be felt alongside sorrow, and even sometimes most especially in the midst of suffering. Certainly the Bible has much to say about joy and its ability to help us as we seek to maintain our faith in God in this very difficult world. So allow me to share with you for just a few moments several of the many observations that the scriptures make about this elusive experience that we call joy. Observation number one, we can experience joy in the Christian life when we do several things. Well, James, in the book of James in the scriptures, said it best in chapter 1 and verse 2. He says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds." Why? Because the pleasurable experience of growth results from having our faith stretched. That's why Paul tells us in Romans 12:12 that we should be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, and faithful in prayer. If we do these things, we'll be able to experience a deep and abiding joy, even during times of sadness and grief. Joy is something that God fills us with. That's the second observation. In other words, we can't originate or manufacture joy. It has to come from Him. Third observation is we need joy to be able to function effectively. That's what King Solomon said when he stated, "A cheerful heart or a joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries the bones." So it's important that we learn to have joy even in the midst of our struggles in life. And just as this lady that was studying joy found out, joy doesn't necessarily exclude sorrow, but joy is something God gives us in the midst of our challenges of everyday life. Finally, the psalmist says that weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. That's found in Psalm the 30th chapter. This shows again how closely joy is linked to hope. Yeah, we may go through dark times, we may go through trials, we may go through temptations, but we gather joy when we look at the hope that things won't always be this way, that God will make things better, that God will get us through our times of challenge and trial. And so we even have joy in the midst of our sorrow as we look forward to the day that God will make everything all right. And then, of course, when things do get better, we have another type of joy. So it's true. It's really true. We can have joy right now. Imagine with me a young man who has had to travel away from his fiancée to another country for work. The two had planned to always be together, to never separate. But alas, these are circumstances that were beyond their control. For 6 long months, they are apart, waiting for the day when the young man can return so that he can get married and they can start their lives together, so they can get married and start their lives together. As the day for him to return grows closer, They both miss each other terribly. But even though they miss each other, they also experience joy. Why? Because they're thinking about the fast approaching reunion. So you see, they're missing each other, they're suffering a little bit, but they're experiencing joy because they're thinking about the day when they'll be together. Hope sharpens and enhances their joy. Friends, no matter what it is you may be experiencing in life right now, you can have joy. What is that joy? It's a settled sense of assurance and peace because you know God is taking care of you. Weeping may endure for a night. The night of this world's experiment with sin is almost over. And joy, eternal joy, pure joy, comes in the morning when Jesus comes again. God bless you.